Hey guys, Tyler here for the channel. With winter fastly approaching, I just wanted to go over a couple tips to help you guys out for your vehicles that you're going to be storing for the winter. For example, I have my 2002 Camaro Z28 here that I do not drive in the winter and store it. So I'm just going to go over a couple tips that'll help you guys keep your vehicle in tip-top shape and protect it from the elements during the winter. Now this video is going to cover for people who like to keep their car stored during the winter, like my Camaro here, or people who daily drive their cars. This will cover both segments on how you can keep your car safe during the winter. So the first step that I do, right before we get a big snowstorm or they start to lay down a lot of salt on the road, which doesn't take long at all, the first thing I like to do is wash my car really good. And I'm not talking, you know, your basic 30-minute car wash. This is when you want to spend a lot of time on your car. You really want to give it that protective layer that it needs to fight off all the elements that the winter brings, as far as salt, snow, dirt, debris. Winter is a lot more of a harsh season than summer, spring, and fall, just because the temperatures drop and you have a lot of stuff that's going to try to eat away at the paint of your vehicle. So like I said, the first step that you really want to do is hit your car or truck, whatever vehicle you have, really hard with a good car wash. If possible, I like to use a power washer. This is just a regular power washer that you can grab from Home Depot, one of the Ryobi ones with the Honda motor. And the reason that I say you want to use a power washer if you can is vehicles tend to have these areas where dirt and debris collects. Like on the back window of my Camaro here, pine needles, dirt, sand, whatever, you know, all kinds of stuff that you deal with on a daily basis gets stuck in these areas. Now the problem with that is when it gets stuck in here, it tends to eat at the paint over time, especially, you know, during the winter. If it's your daily driver, if you have dirt, salt in here, it's going to sit there and just eat the paint. So what you really want to do is, you know, get some pressure in there with the power washer and try to blast out these areas the best that you can, and get some soap, water, and wax in there. Now, if you don't have a power washer, a good alternative to that is you can use compressed air. As you can see, I have my compressed air set up here too, which I'll show you what you can use that for in a minute as well. If you don't have either of those, what you're going to want to do is just take your hose to the highest pressure setting and just try to blast these areas out. And I'm not saying get right on top of the paint. You just want to put some pressure in there and push all the stuff that's in these areas out. As you can see, this car in particular has a lot of these areas. My back window, where the trunk closes, around the T-tops, around the cowl, near the windshield wipers. So you really want to just get into all those areas and hit them really hard, make sure that you're getting all that dirt out of there. All right, guys, for step two, we have stepped away from the vehicle for a moment so I can show you guys some products that will help you protect your paint in the winter. Basically, the easiest way to explain what these products are going to do is explain how a vehicle's paint is similar to the skin on your body. In the same aspect that paint has tiny little microscopic pores, kind of like your skin. And the idea is that you don't want dirt and debris to get into those tiny little areas, just like you don't want dirt and debris in your skin. So what these products here are going to do is create a barrier in between that debris and your paint. So it's going to fill in those pores and those areas and not let dirt get in there, which is awesome. It's going to keep the shine of your car, it's going to help prevent scratches, and it's just going to give it that overall nice, good, clean look. So there's two main types of waxes that I'm going to show you guys today. They're both super easy to apply and easy to use, but they both do different things. On the left side here, I have three examples. We have Meguiar's Quick Detailer, some Fast Wax, and then the Ultimate Quick Wax. These waxes are not going to be as thick and as protective as these liquid waxes here, but they're super easy to apply. You could do something like this. You could do your whole car in a matter of minutes. Basically, the way they work is you just take the bottle, spray it on your paint, and then you would use one of these microfiber towels to then wipe it off. And it'll create a barrier in between your paint and all the stuff that you don't want in it for a couple weeks. Now, if you want something that's a little bit more permanent, you can go with a liquid wax, something like Meguiar's Ultimate Liquid Wax or Turtle Wax's Premium Car Care Liquid Wax. These are both good products. And like I said, they're all going to do the same thing. The only difference between the spray waxes and the liquid wax is that these are thicker and they're going to stay on the car a little bit longer and give you a little bit better of a barrier than the spray waxes. And typically these are a little bit more difficult to apply. You can use an orbital buffer, and that helps apply the product a little bit quicker and helps you get a better layer of wax on the paint. If you guys want to learn how to do that, you can check out some of my other videos. Another step that you can do before this is clay bar the car. I also have a video on that, and that's going to help remove that the dirt from the microscopic pores in the car's paint before you do these steps. So that's another step that you guys can do, but that's a whole separate video. This is a good step to protect your paint for the winter. So if you guys want to check those out, I have a separate video that I'll link in the description. But for step 2, you want to just protect your paint with a wax. All right, guys, we are over in my pickup truck right now for step 3. This is important for daily drivers or cars that you're going to store for the winter. More importantly for the cars that you're going to store in the winter, but it works for both. And step 3 is basically that you want to also hit the inside of your vehicle real hard. And I'm talking about cleaning it. As you can see, I pulled the floor mats out of my pickup truck that I drive every day, and you can see that there's little stuff all stuck in the carpet. Leaves, dirt, all kinds of stuff. And it's important that you clean this stuff up because, you know, if you were going to leave, let's say I was leaving this pickup truck in my garage for 6 months for whatever reason, or 3 months, whatever the amount of time. I'm not going to open the doors of the vehicle if I'm just leaving it sitting. So what's going to happen is all this dirt and debris, all this stuff is going to work its way into your carpet. Not only it's going to, you know, get rid of the nice color of the carpet, but it's possible that it's going to develop a smell, because over time, even these leaves and, you know, all the french fries that you drop in between the seats, whatever garbage you have in your car is eventually going to break down and create a smell, or it's going to develop mold because you're closing a car up, which is a confined space, and not allowing fresh air to get in or out. So it's super important that you guys vacuum the car before you store it away. And like I said, you want to clean the inside of your car on your daily driver too. It'll help keep the smell down, and it'll just seem nicer on the inside as well. One of the big things that I don't see a lot of people do when they're cleaning the inside of their car is move the seats back and forth. So you can vacuum this whole area here, and that's fine, and that's good. That's a good start. But something that you also want to do that's really important is slide your seats back and forth and get all the stuff that's under the seats, because that's where a lot of the dirt and grime that you don't see sits and creates a smell. So, for example, I'm just going to slide my seat up, and I actually pulled this receipt. There was a coupon over there, and then I have a smashed mint, which I have no idea how it got down there. But all this stuff is in between my seat. If I hadn't slid my seat up, I wouldn't have seen any of it, and it would have stayed locked in my car, hypothetically, for 3 months before I stored it away. Now, another pro tip that you can do, which a lot of detailers do, is you can take that air gun that I had earlier and shoot air underneath the seats, and that's actually going to expose even more dirt and grime that you're missing that you can't see or can't get with the vacuum. So that's your pro tip of the day. For step 4, something that a lot of people forget to do with their vehicles when they store them for the winter. And again, this is crucial for vehicles that you're storing outside, in a garage, under a tarp, whatever. This is something that you can do to your vehicle to help save the wheels in the winter. So your wheels take a lot of abuse throughout the summer and the rest of the seasons. And you're going to get little chips. There's a possibility they could be pitted, covered in dirt, even after you wash them. Wheels just take a lot of abuse. They're on a low point in the car, and they take a ton of abuse all year long. So this is an important step. A lot of people forget to protect their wheels during the winter. So something that you can do besides washing your wheels and wiping all the dirt off is you can use some of this spray wax on your wheels. And what this is going to do is, just like the paint, it's going to protect the finish on your wheels. Now, you don't need to go crazy and put a ton of this stuff on, but you can just put some of this quick detailer on the wheels, spray it on, and wipe it off. And like I said, what this is going to do is just help create that barrier in between your wheels and the, the elements. So again, super important. Don't forget to protect your wheels. Your wheels are just as important as your paint, especially if you have an older vehicle that you're trying to keep in, like showroom quality. Alrighty guys, now for my last cleaning tip on the vehicles, another area that a lot of people tend to forget about is the engine bay. Even though you typically don't see the engine bay on your daily driver, on a car that you're going to store away or something that's a little bit nicer, you want to protect this area too. So after you wash your car, a lot of times what happens is moisture is going to make its way into the engine bay, even though you can't, you're not going to really see it. There's moisture that tends to get down by the headers of the cars, and it sits in all these little pockets and areas and creates these pools. Now, something you could do to get rid of this water is, again, use an air gun, and all you're going to do is basically just try to spray all this excess water out. And now the reason why this is important, because if you have a vehicle that sits for a long time, especially something that's under a tarp or a car cover, it's going to trap that moisture and create rust. So basically what we're going to do now is just use our air gun to spray all that excess water out and try to help prevent rust over the winter or prevent freezing, which is also another important thing. So here we go. So I don't know if the camera's picking this up, but there actually is a lot of water that's trapped in all these small spaces. So I'm just going to go ahead and blow all this out, and we'll move on to the next step. So on to our next step of protecting your car from the winter. Another thing that people tend to forget about is your battery. Now, people take the battery for granted because a lot of the new batteries are pretty much no maintenance. You put them in your car and you forget about them. And I'll admit I'm even guilty of it myself. But something that you can do for your cars that you're storing in the winter is, one, if you're not going to drive them at all, is pull the battery out of the car and store it in a warm place. In your basement, in a closet somewhere, because there's two things that batteries really hate, and I'm talking about even good batteries like the Optima that I have in my car. And the two things are, one, the cold, and two, long periods of sitting without being charged. So there's two things that, like I said, there's two things that you can really do to help your battery. You can, one, pull it out of the car and put it in a warm place, or if you have the ability to, you can use a trickle charger or a battery tender. And what this is going to do is it's going to give the battery a constant stream of power, basically to keep the battery constantly cycling so that it's showing the voltage that it should be showing. Because there's nothing worse than grabbing your car in the spring, being super excited for that first day, going to crank over the motor, and you hear the dreaded clicking, which basically means that you're going to have to drag out the jumper cables, or worst case scenario, the battery is totally drained and it's dead. There are times where batteries that have been sitting for a long enough time in a cold environment can completely become, you can basically kill the cells in the battery, and there's nothing worse than having to buy a brand new battery, especially with the prices of the batteries today. So that's another tip for you. Alrighty guys, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to go down below, smack that like button, give it a thumbs up, and subscribe for more great content like this. If you guys have any tips that you think are good for the winter that you do to your vehicle that you want to share with others, go ahead and drop them down in the comment section below. Like I said, don't forget to subscribe. We're going to be doing a lot more great content on the Camaro, the Silverado, and other vehicles. Even though it's wintertime, we're still going to be doing a lot of stuff on this channel. And once we get to 1,000 subscribers, I'm also going to be giving away a $25 Amazon gift card. So like I said, like and subscribe. Have a great day, guys.